Albert, thanks for coming by. This
Thank
is
you.
awesome.
Thank you. Thank you.
You visited last week briefly, and we just talked a little bit about what you do.
Yes.
So for those who are watching or just curious, can you give me a little bit on your background in terms of what you do here in Boise?
Yeah, I currently run a business called Metfix Boise in Boise.
Excellent.
And the business is providing nutrition and fitness education and training for anyone who's interested, anyone who wants to improve their overall fitness and health.
All right. Like, I know one of the things that we were talking about that really piqued my interest was just the idea of like chronic illness in our country right now.
Right.
And what's curious to me is with all these, there's so many gyms, there's so many diets. Why is chronic disease on such on an upturn right now? Any idea why?
Yeah, it's almost like with all these services and people and products around, we're not even making a dent in the prevalence of chronic disease, right?
Right.
I think the stat is 6 in 10 people have at least one chronic disease.
Yes, that's what I just read.
It's incredible, isn't it?
75% of the population in 2023 is living with some type of chronic illness.
Wow.
What is that?
You can boil this down to essentially willful behavior. Willful behavior in terms of eating and moving. And a lot of those two things are, I would say, people are hamstrung. And part of it is the availability of food, the kinds of food available, and then the system set up for the kind of consumption that some other people out there want for benefit.
Yes. Don't even get me started on the supermarket right now. We talked last week, and I used an app called Yuka, and I spent about a month going through my normal routine at the supermarket, and you can scan barcodes on any product, and it essentially tells you why you shouldn't buy this. And I swear that 80% of the supermarket is now off limits to me. Like I just know, I can't go down that aisle.
Right.
I can't go down that aisle. So it's troubling because it's, you want to make good choices in life, but when our supermarkets are just inundated with attractive marketing, but in essence, the actual ingredients are not good for us, right? Comparative to say Europe. I know a lot of food dyes don't exist over there, the same dyes that we use because they're harmful. So how do you navigate eating and dieting and making the right decisions?
I think first it's saying that, or the perspective that I'm not dieting or not having a specific diet, because for so long in our country and around the world, really, a diet implies you're restricting or limiting something or taking something away. And I think it's a negative connotation in eating, right?
Absolutely.
Since everything we need to eat is fuel, we need to consider that the fuel we're intaking should be positive, or should be looking in the positive light. That the nutrition guidelines or lifestyle, if you will, I'm following, emphasizes eating whole foods, unprocessed foods. I can give you a specific prescription if you want.
Really?
Yeah.
Like a personal prescription?
I can list it off for you.
Is it a blanket prescription? How's that work?
You could call it a general prescription.
Cool.
So eating meats and veggies, nuts and seeds, some starch, little fruit, no sugar, and no seed oils.
No seed oils. Now, tell me about seed oils, because they're in almost everything, like restaurants, correct? There's very specific, again, there's an app for it where you can find out which restaurants don't use seed oils, and you have to opt into that, and there's a lack of awareness already.
Yeah.
How detrimental are seed oils?
They're very detrimental, especially in combination with the sugars that are around and everything too. What it comes down to is some biochemistry here I'll go into, is that we feel less full or more hungry for eating seed oils. The ingestion of seed oils are the types of fatty acids that are in seed oils, which are also called vegetable oils. Just to be clear, seed oils are vegetable oils, right?
Real quick, can you give me a quick rundown? Can you name some of the biggest seed oils? Because what about, I feel like there's some unknowns there in terms of seed versus nut and coconut. What's good, what's bad oil-wise?
Sure. I think one big player is called soybean oil.
Really?
Corn oil, canola oil. Is there a rapeseed or grapeseed oil? One of those two names. Yeah. I guess that's what I can think of right now. So that short list right there, it's full of what's called omega-6 fatty acids, and those are called pro-inflammatory to our bodies and our cells. Now, a certain set of fatty acids called omega-3s, they're anti-inflammatory, and those are not as prevalent in those vegetable and seed oils. The point is, when we're eating those omega-6 fatty acids, which are pro-inflammatory, it does some processes in our cells so that our brain reads when we're eating as we're still hungry. So we continue to put stuff in our mouth, continue to eat, and it helps us basically grow our fat cells.
Is that intentional? I mean, like, is someone trying to get us to keep eating? Because that's,
I would say,
commerce?
Probably not anything by ill will. It's just the nature of how we evolved over a couple million years. We have something called the fat switch, and we can look into it. Someone can look in later. His name is Dr. Richard Johnson. He has a book called The Fat Switch, I believe. He explained this then. But the point is, when we evolved over the couple million years, when we ate a sugar called fructose that was in fruits, a lot of berries, right, stuff like that, that helped us store fat, so that when winter came, we had this certain layer of fat on us that we could last through winter with very little live food around, if you will. So that evolved mechanisms we have in our body still exist today, and all the products and quote unquote food that's available today is mismatched. That we still consume all the fructose and all the seed oils around that continues to get us fat when we don't necessarily need it.
Interesting. That makes sense. Because
seems logical.
Yes, it's hardwired. It's in our DNA, and we're programmed that way. And it's relatively recently that we've had access year round to I'm talking about the last 100 years.
Right.
Now we have access to pretty much anything we want, whenever we want, so long as we have the money to buy it. And so, yeah, I can see that throwing a monkey wrench in our whole physiology in a big way.
I can give you another way to look at it.
Yeah.
If you look at a book, right? I think it's a 500-page book. Okay. That equates to about 2.2 million years of human history, I think.
Yeah.
The last page, I think it was, considered as the agricultural age, last few hundred years.
Wow.
Out of the couple million, right?
Yeah.
So we were hunter-gatherers back then for a couple million at least, and then last few hundred years as agricultural, growing crops and eating those crops. A lot of carbs, right? And then the two words on the last page is as of late, the industrial age.
Wow.
So our bodies were designed to eat back then for a couple million years, and we're trying to, ingest things that were made in the last 100 years, maybe?
Yeah. Hard to believe.
Actually destroying us.
The last page and the last couple words can have such an impact on our health as a society. If we've been doing this for millions of years, how is it that we've disrupted ourselves to such a degree where we're getting sick constantly? Everyone, the vast majority, 6 out of 10 Americans has 2 or more chronic illnesses.
Right.
That's horrifying.
We know from in 1989, okay, a researcher, scientist, might have been a physician too, Norman Kaplan. He wrote in the Archives of Internal Medicine. He observed and then outlined what's called the deadly quartet. And it's stemming from what's called hyperinsulinemia. So chronically elevated insulin in the blood. And that's been shown to lead to upper body obesity, glucose intolerance, hypertriglyceridemia, and then hypertension.
Wow.
So those 4 conditions that result from too much insulin around, right? Back then in 1989, he wasn't able to connect all the dots and figure out why obesity happened essentially first, and all the other things kind of happened, all the mechanisms behind it. Now, as of late, last couple of years, there's a hypothesis now that it's what's called the Ross hypothesis of obesity. So Ross standing for ROS, or reactive oxygen species.
Okay.
And these reactive oxygen species are always produced through our mitochondria, this one certain part of the cell that we have in all our bodies, right?
Right.
That's our, a lot of people say the powerhouses, or I say the power plant, the energy factories of the cell.
Mm-hmm.
So there are reactive oxygen species that are produced when there's metabolism happening.
Mm-hmm.
And specifically, we're going to the omega-6 fatty acids now. When those are being metabolized, essentially, less of that ROS is being produced. And that's a result of another little biochemistry thing where less FADH2 versus NADH is being produced,
Okay.
essentially. So less ROS. And that ROS, less of that around, is not able to tell what's called the GLUT4 transporters in all our cells to close. So
Oh,
they're
interesting.
telling them to remain open. When we eat something like sugar or some protein, insulin is released through the pancreas. Insulin goes through all our cells, attaches to the cells, tells the GLUT4 transporter to open up and let
Wow.
the sugar and the protein come in, right? So it's just like a key to a lock.
Yeah.
Insulin's a key, opens the lock on the GLUT4 transporter, opens up, brings sugars in and proteins in to be processed, metabolized. Now, that process happens all the time with insulin, right? Now, on the inside, insulin's on the outside, ROS on the inside. When less of the ROS is around from eating the omega-6 fatty acids, then that door remains open.
Wow.
So we continue to bring in sugar and whatnot to grow the cells, and fat cells continue to grow and grow and grow. Now, if we're eating another kind of fat, it actually does the opposite. Can you guess what kind of fat that is?
You said that was the omega-3s?
Maybe not that. Another kind of fat, actually.
Let's see. Saturated fat?
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
So,
No kidding.
yeah. So if we're eating saturated fat, which are mostly the animal-based fats, right? Eat a ribeye. However much fat is on that thing, that's saturated fat, right?
Now,
For the most part.
haven't saturated fats been somewhat demonized over the years? What's up with that?
So go down that exit ramp.
Yeah.
It's been corrupted. So we've been all misled, miseducated for so long through a lot of conclusions saying that saturated fat causes heart disease and XYZ things, when it was just all correlated, maybe all based on studies that were maybe some flaws in them, right? Okay, well, we'll get back on the freeway. That the saturated fats, it's been shown now, more of that ROS is being produced when more of the FADH2 is around compared to NADH. And then since there's more ROS around, the signal actually goes to the GLUT4 transporter, closes that door, even though insulin's there, and prevents any more from coming into the cell to be metabolized.
Wow. That easy.
It should be like that. And it's being observed.
Well, that's what's strange to me is that, the human body is this amazing creation, this machine that it knows how to function. And we somehow managed to break it very quickly. So in terms of someone who say, first and foremost, I'd say like children, educate the children, right? Have them eat right now. But for someone in their 40s, for example, like what does that look like if they haven't been treating themselves properly, haven't been eating the right diet, or haven't been eating the correct foods to encourage the normal function of their body the way it's supposed to work? How does that look? Can you turn it around? Is there hope?
There is hope. There's the possibility of change and improvement. Now, it's up to that person. Is that door open to wanting to change even just a little bit? It's just like the scene in The Matrix. Morpheus goes, "What if I told you," right? And then he hands either both the red pill and the blue pill.
Yeah.
Right?
One's a nerd gummy, and the other one's, a piece of broccoli.
Sure. Oh, or the truth.
Yeah, very
Right?
fair.
The
fair
red
enough.
pill, right?
Yeah.
So are they open-minded enough, willing enough to learn what truly is, and then start taking the small actions to implement that in their life? So yeah, as a business, as a coach, trainer person, right? We help guide people step by step to eventually get to a standard, if you will. So we throw out the standard as in, like I just said earlier, meats, vegetables, all that stuff, right? That list. Can we steadily guide someone there over time with simple actions and routines and habits to get there eventually? And yeah, I mean, someone who's not open, can't help them. But if they have been triggered by a diagnosis, for example,
Right.
some pain or some disease they're dealing with, and or their doctor telling them, hey, you need to fix yourself now,
Yeah.
then we can help them, right? So again, we're laden or provided, or it's all around, all the bad stuff, quote unquote, right? All the inflammatory stuff, all the
Right.
things that encourage us to keep eating. It stems to now education. So someone's eyes aren't open to see the options around, right? They can't distinguish between the quote unquote good and bad food in this store, like you mentioned
Right.
earlier. The behaviors of going down the aisles, middle of store, is pre-programmed in. They're advertised and marketed to that way to go down those aisles. So they're educated that way. Now, can we re-educate them essentially and knowing what the truth is, like I said? Given the red pill so that they make the better decision, so they go around the perimeter of the stores essentially more,
Right.
right? To grab the more whole foods.
Yes, the perimeter. I've noticed that. That's the best place to be. The whole center island is pretty much on the blacklist for me because it's all crackers and processed foods and things that you don't really need. So what has had the most impact on people when you try to at least raise their awareness? Is there like a statement that you give them? Because it seems pretty common sense. Like once your eyes are open to this concept, why keep eating what's not good for you?
You know what? It might have something to do with a lot of deep set stuff in people's minds. Just from learning through podcasts and listening to other podcasts for other people out there, interviewing other people, a lot of people have a lot of issues.
Yeah.
Deep set stuff, like from
Interesting.
childhood on. So traumas, right?
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Coping mechanisms
Yes.
to deal with those traumas maybe include a lot of food. So I think those mental health challenges, obstacles, I think need to be met and taken on and resolved at the same time the food part is being
That's incredible.
helped
I think
with.
that's a great idea.
Right.
Tackle it all at once.
Yeah, because if I'm telling someone to, wean down how many sodas they're drinking per week, they could get to that point where, they have maybe one soda a week instead of 7, right?
Yeah.
Yet that inkling or inclination to drink that is still there because maybe back then as a 7-year-old, something happened and their parent gave them that soda to appease them in some way, right?
Yeah.
And that stuck with them. Like everything something happened, they had to reach for that thing to soothe themselves.
Yeah.
Right. So that whole process needs to be worked through as well, I think.
Yeah. Because there is some kind of pleasure mechanism with sugar. When we train ourselves, there's that instant spike, right? And I think people have come to like their Monster energy drinks because it makes them feel so good for a quick moment without taking into consideration how terrible it makes them feel later.
Right.
And they get caught in these cycles. Because I know a lot of people that just live unhealthy and continue to make unhealthy choices knowing it's unhealthy because of that short-term pleasure.
Right.
Like how do you change that?
You could say the hormones that are released when you're eating the quick fixes, right? It's dopamine for the most part, right? And then we just chase after that hit, bite after bite, chip after chip, right?
Yeah.
And that essentially is what's called addiction, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
So millions of people out there are addicted to these substances, essentially, right? Substance abuse of sugar, right? For example. And there are now ways of helping people through addiction, right? We know of, for example, with alcohol is what kind of programs are out there available, right?
Right.
Can we do this similar with our nutrition?
You would
just
think
food,
so.
sugar, right? For example.
Yeah, but unfortunately, don't get me started on the pharmaceutical industry because that is built on treating the chronic illnesses, correct? So that's a tough one because there's a lot of people that rely on sick people.
True. It's maybe not curing and not resolving chronic diseases and illnesses. They're just not mitigating. What's a better way of saying it? Babying it, prolonging it, maybe incurring other ones that pop up while taking.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
It becomes whack-a-mole at one point, right?
Yeah, I've seen the side effects list is horrifying
Right.
for most of these things that people take.
Yeah, I mean, as far as addiction to certain foods, for example, right? There is not only education needed up front, I think, or throughout, education on how to eat, right? What to truly reach for and what to avoid and all that. Education on why did they get to that point of having to reach for those things, right?
Yeah.
And how to further optimize their metabolism, right? To be ultimately more healthy, right? So there's that process of education. Now, the second part of it is the guidance or coaching aspect of it, the hand-holding, right? Having someone accountable to them, this may be the same person educating them in that, and helping them take those simple actions to start to shift, right? After that point, or while that's happening, is also community.
Absolutely.
Right. So having people around them in their life who are not only supportive, maybe on the same journey too, to obviously relate to each other, but also to encourage those good behaviors.
Yes.
So somewhere like a gym,
There you go.
which provides the education and then the accountability, the guidance, and then the community around them keeps them on track, if you will.
Absolutely. Yeah. The people you spend your time with, that's a reflection of you. And yeah, I'm a huge fan of that. Now you also have yes, you also have a gym, correct? So you do offer both sides of the coin. Then you
Yes.
offer the education, but you also offer the environment where people can cultivate healthy behavior. So obviously there's a combination between dieting and movement, and so that relationship it's a balance of the two, correct?
Intertwined. So you could say the foundation of everything we do in our lives is through our fueling, our eating, our nutrition. And the better we optimize our fueling, the more optimized our overall life will be, right? We say that the pyramid schemes, right?
Right.
The bottom of the pyramid, the base, that maybe is the height of the pyramid is only as high as the width or the area of the base.
Oh, okay.
So the bigger base of nutrition, the better base of nutrition you have, then the sky's the limit in terms of your performance and your health.
Interesting. So it starts with what you put in your body, the fuel.
Now consider this: we've only talked about through this hole here, right? Now, what other holes do we have? How many other senses do we have?
Exactly. Many. I'm assuming, for example, like screens, for example, our eyes.
Yes.
One thing that bothers me is devices and, blue light at night and sleep and how that, and all those are integral to, like you said, that healthy balance.
Right. So consider one of the senses as in the taste, right? Another sense, sight, you said. This sense here of smell. This sense here of hearing. And even maybe down to this, touch. So our 5 senses there at least. Can we now improve our nutrition or fueling through those 5 senses? Right?
Yeah.
That's only one aspect.
Yeah.
Now, what we see, what we look at, what we smell, what we hear, listen to, and then ultimately maybe stuff like that, touch, whatever, in some way.
Right.
Can we optimize those as a whole to become even better?
Yeah. Why not? Is that something that you're building into your program?
I would say, for the most part, it's this first.
Yeah.
But I think it's up to the individual person to start doing that in their outside life, outside the gym life, if you will.
Yeah.
Right. Something to consider.
Very much so. Yeah. Let's see. About 4 months ago, I did a 5-day fast, just liquid, just tea and water, And that was an eye-opening experience, simply because I know there's a lot of things that happens during those 5 days. Your body goes through this whole process of navigating no fuel, and so it finds fuel in your body, and you go through this remarkable kind of transformation. And then by day 5, when you're on the verge of eating muscle. So that's why I only did the 5 days, and that was like a beautiful reset for me, because as soon as that was over, I felt like I was over all those bad habits. I was no longer feeling the addiction of like, oh, I'm going to eat and eat more and eat more because it tastes good and it feels good, you know? And I started to just appreciate the fuel. And I remember just being able to like cook up a piece of zucchini with salt, and the flavors were just like, wow, like it's amazing. And that's what I think you're talking about with the awakening the other senses. You know, we have to almost, we've been dulled by our diets, and the rest of our senses, I think, are kind of losing their ability to kind of function at their peak.
Yeah.
And so I was just curious, do you incorporate fasts in your program as a part of kind of the initial shocking the person out of their cycles?
I would say that's a strategy. It's a tool to implement if the person is tolerant of it, able to do it. So we can see. Oh, let's look at fasting in general anyway, right? So fasting just means no eating, no consuming anything that requires our body to process, essentially, right? No calories being burned, if you will, right? So drinking water, nothing. No, there's no macronutrients in there we have to process, right? So if you ate your lunch noon, you don't eat until 6, then you've fasted for 6 hours.
I see.
Right? And then you eat your dinner at 6, and you don't eat until noon the next day. That's what? Is that 18 hours? Yeah. Right? So 18-hour fast.
The intermittent fasting, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another way of looking at it, intermittent eating.
Yeah, there you go.
Right?
That's a good way. That's a much better way to look at it. It's a lot less intimidating.
Right. And then you don't eat lunch. You eat until, you don't eat until dinner the next day. 24-hour.
Yeah.
Right? Not eating or fasting, right? The whole purpose is basically, I think what you did was reset to your baseline, if you will.
Yes.
To tune everything down back to default.
Yeah.
Right? On your equalizer, it's about that 0, maybe.
Yeah.
Right? Like you said, your senses were made more sensitive.
Yes.
Yeah, you could perceive things a little better.
On all levels, all senses came alive.
Your mental abilities probably was way better.
Incredible. Yes, absolutely.
So that's a strategy to employ where someone starts to, like you said, find their own fuel on themselves. So their body fat starts being consumed for however many hours, right? And then, like you said, going to the limit before losing actual lean mass, muscle mass.
Right.
It's a good idea. There's a process called gluconeogenesis where we can take our existing muscle and then turn that into sugar for energy.
Really?
So if you had gone past 5 days, if you've gone a whole 3 weeks, you would start to turn your muscle into energy via gluconeogenesis, right?
Self-cannibalizing in a way.
Right, because you enter that survival mode, essentially, right?
Mm-hmm.
You've seen prisoners of war, for example, right? That's what they've gone through, right? Through a hugely extensive fast.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so for any normal person, right, who's already way off base, if you will, obese, morbidly obese, right, all that chronically diseased, we're providing them the opportunity to use their own fuels instead of shoving more fuels down their mouth when they already have it available.
Exactly.
Right? Now, the whole fasting concept is that, okay, they should feel full the whole time, but most likely not because their signals, so their brain signals still telling them to continue to eat.
Yeah.
So can we dampen those signals by doing a couple things, right? Maybe it's not fast, but it's feeding them with what we talked about earlier to help them feel full, which was
Wasn't it meats and vegetable? Oh, was it meats primarily?
Yeah, there's some in meat, saturated fats.
Oh, saturated fats.
Right?
Excellent.
So-
Saturated fat is the ticket, huh?
Yeah, so we start having them increase their most likely saturated fat levels of intake to have them feel more full from meal to meal, so not stacking as much.
Right.
So that their insulin levels aren't as elevated over their days. And insulin is essentially a storage hormone, right? Like as I mentioned earlier. Tune that down so they're not storing as much and start to essentially metabolize or burn now. That's the point. Can we start feeding people more with saturated fat instead of those omega-6s, right? Those polyunsaturated fats that actually make people feel full.
Right.
Those omega-6s, PUFAs, make people feel hungry, so they continue eating.
Yeah.
Feed the opposite of saturated fats. They feel more full.
Satiated, yeah. Wow. What's your diet like, for example? Not diet.
Yeah,
What's your feeding regimen like?
I follow those guidelines. So I prioritize protein to keep up my structures, right? Bones, muscles, tendons, ligaments, hair, nails, all that stuff, right?
How much protein? I hear like a 1 gram equivalent to your body weight. Is
That's a pretty good
is that
upper end, yeah.
it is? Oh, so it is upper end. Upper end. Okay.
And anywhere from 0.7 grams per pound to 1 gram per pound. Yeah, that's a good range to stay in, especially if someone's active.
Yeah,
right.
That's a lot of protein.
It is.
How do you get that? Like, how do you do that across the course of a day? Like, I have to work hard. To do it, and usually involves some type of bovine powder.
Right.
Right.
We can make it simpler for people to wrap their mind around it. Right. If I'm 150 pounds and I'm trying to eat 150 grams of protein per day, if I divide that among my 3 main meals, right, then that's 50 grams per meal. Now, to make it more real life is the kinds of protein I eat or the kinds of products I get from different places. One example are these 1/3 pound grass-fed beef patties from Costco.
Really?
And they're full of 26 grams of protein.
Wow.
Right. So, for example, in my breakfasts, I have that cooked up and I add 2 of my chicken eggs to them. And that's another 12 total grams of that. 12 plus 26, that's like 38, for example. At that point, and then I grab a few dollops of Greek yogurt, non-fat yogurt, essentially, add it to that whole mix, blend all up together in a bowl. And I'm close to that 50 right there.
Yeah. Wow. You're making me hungry too.
Right?
Sounds amazing.
So it's looking at the whole and then breaking it down piece by piece into more manageable chunks.
Yeah.
And finding what someone prefers and fits to that, I think.
One of the issues I run into is just it's not cost prohibitive. It's hard to eat well.
Mm-hmm.
They make the garbage so accessible.
It is.
It's so cost efficient. And even they incentivize it with programs like WIC and so
Snap.
forth. Yeah, exactly. Which is a damn shame because, I do whatever I can to feed both myself and my family as healthy as possible.
Right.
But and it comes down to, the cost efficiency of it.
You can see how someone is ignorant or just starting on their journey that we would potentially start coaching, right? They see it as, wow, that's so expensive to eat healthy, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
When they undergo that journey, when they still go from days to weeks to weeks, and months to months, and years to years, not a journey, they start to see that they might not need to eat that much of the good stuff. While, in contrast, eating a lot of the bad stuff for so long, right?
Right.
A lot of the bad stuff, quote unquote, was nutritionally not dense. As soon as I started eating some of the good stuff, they're more nutrient dense. So you don't need that much to get the stuff that you truly need, essentially.
That's a great point.
Right?
Yeah. Cut out the junk and give yourself the essentials. And and also it is an investment in yourself.
Right.
It's
correct.
Like it's like putting good gas in your car, you know?
Yeah. That makes the car last longer maybe or more efficiently.
Yeah.
So reinvesting from the poor stuff to the good stuff, which might be in the end just as much or even less in cost
Yeah.
per month or per whatever it is, right?
It's interesting. Yeah. Education.
Mm-hmm.
I do believe that starting with the kids and the youth is where it is at right now.
Yeah.
Because even like school lunches, my son prefers his school lunch that he gets at school versus the one I make at home.
Yeah.
Which is, comes from at least better sources, like to make sure it's organic and has, a good balance. But yeah, he prefers like the cheese sandwich at school. And I'm like, oh, how do I stop this?
Right. There's two things there. The first is you mentioned WIC and SNAP. So I think there were some recent policy changes as of June or July here
Really?
that what I think soda and sugary laden beverages or whatever were limited on SNAP now or something.
Good.
That people can't get those anymore.
Good start.
Supposedly. Hopefully it's
Yeah.
in action now. And then as far as kids' education and food, there's a program called Head Start,
Yeah.
right? And there's offices all around the country in each state. And I made it a point to reach out to them. I emailed them just after this recent announcement that I think Head Start got like 60 billion or 60 million or some huge number like that to improve the education of nutrition for kids.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Is that a federal mandate?
I think
of some
so.
kind?
I think so. Yeah.
Something through the RFK office, maybe?
Perhaps, yeah. So I made it a point, like, because the abilities we have, the facilities we have, all this stuff, the service we provide, I think we should be able to help them in that aspect. So we see now kids as the base of the pyramid too, right?
Yes.
They're our foundation. They're our future. So can we influence them now? Can we teach them now to do everything well now so that in the future they can make all the better decisions for us?
Yeah. I feel like I should produce something scary. Use some scare tactics.
For what?
To show children what the bad food is doing to them.
I see what you're saying.
Raise awareness in a way that is shocking, maybe. Or not.
Or not.
There's different approaches to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think about my kids, how important they are to me. And I don't want them to fall victim to chronic illness and just poor decision making.
Right.
Because that reflects on all aspects of life.
It does.
Feeling good is a good thing. So now, real quickly, like, where do people start? Like, how should people begin this journey? And especially if they're here locally in Boise
Yeah.
and want to utilize your services.
Obviously, reach out to me and then take a look at the website. So www.metfixboise.com.
Excellent.
And there's also the Instagram they can look up, so Metfix Boise as well.
And then if there's one like golden nugget of truth that you want to leave people with, what message would you give them at this point? People who are looking to wake up, so to speak, and take the red pill.
That they are human, and we just simply help humans. No matter what place in your life, like how you see yourself, how you think other people see yourself, it doesn't matter. You're still a human. You still have, like I said earlier, 23 pairs of chromosomes, 4 limbs for the most part, and a head and a torso.
Hopefully.
We can help you. And there's hope.
Awesome, Albert. Thank you for coming by today.
Thank you, Shane.
This has been great.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Let's do it again.
Yeah, more to come.